Manhattan Bank has been serving the Gallatin Valley since 1905. Started by local farmers in order to help grow the agriculture industry, Manhattan Bank has since grown into a full-service bank serving the entire valley. With branches in Manhattan, Churchill, Three Forks, and Bozeman, you're never far from your local bank.
As banks are consolidating and changing, Manhattan Bank sets themselves apart through consistency and a small-town banking feel. Come see why we have been in the Valley for well over 100 years. Stop by the new building in Bozeman, see Justin Skillman and Tyler Dosher for your business banking, and Brad Whitmer for your home loans. Go Cats.
Member FDIC.
Welcome, everybody, to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R Catcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. He's your host, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Big Sky Podcast Network, Montana State affiliate, and we are a fan podcast for the fans, by the fans. We have a sweet sponsor, Manhattan Bank, taking care of all your banking needs in the Gallatin County. They have 4 locations: Bozeman, Churchill, Manhattan, and Three Forks. Check out Justin and company over there for your banking needs. Thorny, we're here. It is playoff time. Montana State had the bye last week, so we took the week off, man. We had a lot of good watching football time. It was Thanksgiving. I know you and I had different plans, but we're here, man. Second round of the playoffs. Time to get going against Weber.
Playoff time, man. It's our turn. It was fun watching other teams playing the playoffs this weekend, but it's our turn now in Bobcat land. I'm excited to talk a little bit about the playoff football for the Cats.
Got a quick question for you on that, just like right off the top of my head. Is having a bye week a good thing right off the bat for the playoffs?
Yep. I think it's crucial. I think most of the time, if you look who goes to the national championship or the semifinals, it's almost always the seeded teams that have the bye.
Sure.
I think it's pretty imperative.
I can agree with that.
Maybe it's just because the teams are that much better, so maybe it doesn't matter all that much. But, in our case, I think it's really good. Getting healthy, we've been kind of banged up. It's a good thing.
Seems to be that we're getting healthy at the right time, though. We got some players coming back. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But thanks for joining us on another episode. So if you're new to the podcast, Ryan and I are just dads. We live in Washington, and we talk about Montana State athletics, specifically mostly football. During the football season, we do a little bit of basketball, basketball has been having a rough start lately.
They have.
Had a little Thanksgiving tournament, did not treat us well. Anyways, we'll withhold our thoughts on basketball for right now. God bless Danny Spreekle. You got him, buddy. Just that team is a work in progress, but they'll come together. But we're going to talk about the upcoming playoff games and Weber State. Yeah, we don't have any stats to go around. There's no stats to be had this week.
Stats.
We'll probably talk a little bit about Coach Vegan's press conference. He had about a half-hour press conference today that I was able to check in with, and some injury updates as well. But I think, Ryan, you wanted to go through the playoff games that happened on Saturday, the first round, right?
Yeah, I think we should go recap the games real quick. Just give scores, kind of an update on what's going on, maybe some thoughts. What we maybe saw, focusing probably up mainly on the Big Sky schools and, of course, Weber State, and what we saw in that game.
Sure. Sounds good. Am I missing anything?
If you are, whatever.
We do have some news, like some, players went to the Big Sky Conference teams and Coach Vegan and all that, so we'll touch in on that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of news in this one to talk about before we start talking football. A lot we haven't covered. And a lot to unpack from today's presser.
Sounds good. But before we get into anything of that, we talk about what's in our golden coolie.
What's in your golden coolie?
King Crispy. He's back.
Again?
Yep. Still haven't bought any beers since last time. It's getting real slim in there. I didn't even see these. They were hidden behind some like juice cans. I'm like, oh yeah, I still got some beer hanging out in there. So my backup beer is actually a cider, a hard cider. That's what we're coming down to. A hard cider that somebody left at our house a couple weeks ago when we had some people over for dinner. So it's getting slim over here, but I still got a King Crispy. Happy with that. It's a good beer, so I'm okay with that.
Was that the beer you had before the Cat Grizz, or was that the beer you had on the bye week?
I don't remember. I know it was confirmed that he is in fact a toaster. So we were right. He's a toaster. But I was trying to think when I had it. Obviously we won because we've won like every single game. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Sounds good, man. I have Deschutes Jubile Ale, their seasonal winter ale. And we got a 24-pack at Costco. So I got a lot of those. So you might be hearing that once or twice throughout.
It's not your first one, is it?
Playoffs. No, it's not. But I was confusing myself with Sierra Nevada puts out a celebration beer as well. I can't remember what it is, but it's more of a fresh hop. And I think I like that one more than the Deschutes. So still pretty good. 6.7% alcohol. It's kind of boozy flavor to it that it's not my favorite, but it's what I got, man. So here it is. It's in a bottle. I rarely drink bottles anymore. So although they're pretty good.
You don't have a coolie on that bad boy.
Thorny. Dude, I got to tell you something. I ordered 50 magnets, little R&R CatCast magnets today. 3x3-inch magnets.
That's what you ordered.
Yeah, man, I got some new swag coming. So we have R&R CatCast magnets coming. There was a sweet deal on some Cyber Monday thing that we used with our stickers, and it was like $50 off. And I was like, I got them for like $30. I was like, that's a screaming deal.
Nice.
So if those are coming in the mail, I'll slip those in the Golden Coolie questions. So it's like you get it like a trio of things from me now. You'll get a Golden Coolie, a sticker, and a magnet. Your wife will probably hate you. She'll be like, what's all these R&R football helmets doing everywhere for? But why not? Like spreading the love.
There you go.
During the Christmas season.
Man, we moved into our house a couple years ago real quick. We have a stainless steel fridge, but magnets don't stick to it. It's super annoying.
What?
Nothing sticks to it, which is just annoying. It's super annoying. I hate it. So I don't have anywhere to put a magnet, honestly. Pick up my microwave, maybe? I don't know.
Have like a garage fridge or anything?
Yeah, there's the garage fridge, I suppose. I put on the beer fridge in the garage. There you go. Look at you.
There it is. Sweet. Keep me around for smart ideas.
All right, smart guy. What are we doing next?
Let's talk about Coach Vegan. He got Coach of the Year.
All right.
Troy Taylor.
Yeah.
Woo.
Pretty excited about that. I thought he was deserving. I was pretty happy to hear that he got it. I know Jason Eck did a great job at Idaho, but just with the injuries and the way things played out this year and the way that Vegan was able to keep it all together, I think he did a bang-up job. He deserved Coach of the Year.
It's either Victor Flores or Alex Eshelman, who do a fantastic job of asking questions at the Monday pressers, by the way. I know Coulter Nuanez comes in at the very end, but it's hard to hear him sometimes. One of them asked him about being Coach of the Year, and Coach Vegan, he looked like he was like, thanks for asking. Thanks for mentioning it. Appreciate it. It's a team award. Moving on.
He's a humble guy.
Just as he would. He is, man. He's just disinterested in talking about himself. I like that.
He was interested in talking about putting the knives in the Grizzlies.
Oh, man.
I don't know if we talked about that yet.
Get you fired up or something? Like,
yeah.
Because when I saw that, I was like, who is that guy? Give me more of him.
We got the knife in. Let's twist it. I'm like, all right, coach. All right. Damn. Settle down a little bit. Don't know if I want my boys hearing that. No. I thought it was great. I thought that's exactly what you're hoping that he's been doing behind the scenes, that maybe you didn't think he had any fire. Like that one little brief. That was like, that little tiny sentence was enough to say he's got a killer instinct and he's like fiery all in like a 5-second span.
I was texting with some of our listeners, like Nick Smith and someone else. I can't remember. Anyways, and it was like when I heard that, it was like that emoji face of just like like deadpan face, like oh my gosh. I like that was hearing him say that. Never thought I would hear that.
That's not Midwest
Not
nice.
that sentence. Not no. That's not Midwest nice.
Well, maybe Chicago.
Oh man, I like it though. You
Yes, sir.
think he was a little bit fired up about the catfish, just a little bit?
I think
Think
so.
he heard about that for the last 2 years? Yeah.
Yep. He wanted to send a message, and he was making sure his team received that message. Love it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that video, what video, right? I mean, we lost our video guys last year, but that quality of that one, the production of that one was spot on.
Is that the guy that came over from the D3 team that Ravi Alston came from? Is he the one that's doing that now?
Hey, isn't that what you texted me? I'm going off of you right now.
I'm going off of what I've read somewhere else too. I'm pretty sure Ravi Alston's friend was like a student over there doing a lot of filming. I think he came over with him. I'm not entirely positive, but whoever it is, great job. Love the videos, love the content. But yeah.
Killer Instinct, Coach Vegan. All right.
Well, there's plenty of
Well
other
done.
awards besides just coach. Let's start off. I'll just start at the top. We can kind of take turns here. Newcomer of the year, Sean Chambers. Loved seeing that. I think he was deserving of that.
Yeah, no surprise right there. What does he have, like 17 touchdowns?
Yeah, and he
like
missed
4
like
games?
5 games or whatever. Still was like second in the league in touchdowns or something. I think Scadaboo might have.
What kind of
passed
role
him.
is that guy going to play in the playoffs?
Same one he did against the Grizz, man.
Okay. All right. All
Yeah.
right, let's go into the first team.
All right.
First team, Derek Snell as a fullback. I thought that was kind of a little bit of a stump to the tight end because I was thinking our boy RJ Fitzgerald was going to be the first team fullback, but Derek Snell, the Alaskan assassin, he deserved to be first team either one, in my opinion, but he gets fullback. I was just hoping for tight end because, as I said, RJ Fitzgerald deserved that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it bumped RJ out of there because there was no other fullbacks on second team or third team. So kind of a bummer. RJ didn't make the list anywhere because of that. So kind of a weird way to go about it.
Inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sebastian Valdez got first team defensive tackle. Defensive end Brody Grebe got first team, and Calhan O'Reilly got first team as the inside linebacker. All those guys deserve it, man. I was a little bit surprised Brody Grebe got first team, to be honest with you. I was thinking more he might be a second team. He just hasn't had that first team kind of feel to him this year, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I think it's voted on by the coaches, so they saw something that they liked or didn't like as an opposing team in that way.
No, he's a stud. He's a stud, but first team I kind of think of guys like Daniel Hardy and stuff like that, like big splash plays, making a lot of sacks. And
yes,
Brody's had great pressure, but he hasn't had those splash plays as much as Hardy.
No, he's not filling up the stat sheet, that's for sure. But yeah, good to see him on there, especially he's been hurt, so I think he'll be back fully healthy. Sounds like too coming up, so that's good. Second team, Tommy Malott, quarterback. Rush Reimer, offensive tackle. What is Rush? He's the left tackle.
Yep.
Ty Okada, nickelback, and then Sean Chambers making his way back on there as an all-purpose player.
Only thing I have to say about those guys is Rush Reimer, not one of our offensive linemen were on the first team. That's blasphemous.
It's ridiculous.
Straight blasphemous.
The best rushing team in the country. Davidson's the only team that has more yards per game, and they run a triple option, and they just got smoked in the first round. We're the best rushing team in the country, and only one offensive lineman on the first or second team. It's crazy talk.
It is, man. That's what a chip on your shoulder, Rush Reimer.
But our tight end got the fullback spot, so that's weird, but cool.
There's something.
So yeah, we got that. Crazy. Not a single running back.
All right, no. I can acknowledge that because we used like a platoon of running backs this year, and I think that's been something that's been kind of a secret sauce for us, to be honest with you.
I'm not saying we
Uh,
deserve somebody on there. I'm just saying it's just crazy how good this running offense is without any single like individual stars.
It's a good point, man. It's
That's
a really
all.
good point. All right, third team, all Big Sky, Willie Patterson,
Willie.
JT Reed, offensive guard, and Marquis Johnson. Nothing really big there. I thought Willie Patterson was on his way for a first team accolade and then kind of just slowed down there a little bit, mainly because we stopped passing the ball in the last two games and we had kind of had to go away from that. Willie Patterson was doing probably his best stretch of ball during the Sean Chambers midpoint of the season. But when we started running at a prolific rate, he became a not like necessarily a non-factor because our receivers are such big factors in what we do, but he's just not getting the production.
No, but that's nothing I don't think he's doing. That's probably just by design. We're just not throwing the ball, like you said. We kind of shrank back into our run the ball. We're kind of identifying our identity, and whether you like it or not, that's what we do. We run the ball 75% of the time.
Travels well, man. It really does.
All right. Honorable mention, Justice Perkins at center, Nolan Askelson linebacker, and then Stones Glessner making the all-conference team an honorable mention. Congratulations, Stones and Nolan and Justice.
I thought Stones should have been up second team, third team.
He's had a really good year.
Coach Fegan said something today, like in his presser, that as far as touchbacks go, like Stones is leading the FCS, just being able to boot it out of the end zone when he's talking about coverage teams.
Well, he probably has more chances than a lot of other kickers to do it. We score so much.
All right. Well, there is the 2022-2023 first all-team Big Sky, all Big Sky teams and coach of the year. A lot of guys on there, man. I mean, Montana State's in a good spot right now. That's no surprise.
A lot of guys, but I think we had the least amount of guys on there, at least on the first or second team, out of like anybody else in the Big Sky who's in the playoffs, which is just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It is what it is, man. We're a team. We're a team.
All right. Where do you want to go?
Let's transition to the press conference from today. You said you listened to it. You have some thoughts before we talk about kind of the big thing from the press conference? The news making the waves here today on a Monday?
Yeah, I'll just go through some notes real quick. Coach Vegan talked about playing Weber again, and he said, there's some benefits to familiarity. So he's leaning into that a little bit. Both teams are not the same, but better right now. I think both teams, both us and Weber, have evolved in some aspects. I would say Montana State, just in general, just like a broad sweeping statement, Montana State has gotten better where Weber's stayed about the same to me. We'll talk about that probably.
Yeah, plenty.
He did, let's just cover some of the injury stuff that he came out with. Sumner is out for the season, and so is Nolan Askelson. So for Sumner, that's probably it, right? And that's tough because
I think he's only a junior.
Been battling in. Is he? I thought he was a senior. Sorry, Lane, if that's wrong. Nolan's out, and that's a blow for sure. He suffered an injury during the Cat Grizz, which was a non-contact injury. But on the bright side, Brody Grebe, Kyle Rigg, Danny Yu will be back, and Jahari Martin is also back. Yeah, full strength, as well as come on now, Isaiah Fonse. I mean, that's something. One of the leading, I'll just drop that right there. He's a dude, right? We don't need to even talk about that. Let's see. He talked about we just need to play good and don't overthink it. And then one thing I did like what he said was we're a considerably different team than we were last year at this point. A more settled team, a more mature team on both sides of the ball. He said we're in mental space, everything. We're just a considerably different. So they were trying to draw some parallels to last year's playoff, and he's like, "No, we're just different." So I think Coach Vegan feels a lot more comfortable going into this year's playoff.
Well, he has to. Like he made a daring change by changing quarterbacks at this time last year. Like we switched from Matt McKay to Tommy Mellott, a completely unproven player. So yeah, there's a huge difference in mentality right now because we're coming in knowing who we are, what we do offensively and defensively. We have a true identity right now, and we're ready. We're ready for whatever Weaver's going to bring for us on Saturday.
All right. Well, he led off the conference with the talk about Willie Mack Garza being suspended for 1 game for not withholding the standard that he needed to do.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. We're not going to speculate. That's not what we do on this podcast. If you want to speculate, go to Twitter, Bobcat Nation, whatever. That's kind of maybe where you'll find some of that. But it's pretty interesting. It's going to be a big change. It's going to be, I don't know if it'll be a challenge necessarily. We got Bobby Daly, who's been with the program for a while. I think he'll be able to do a good job steering the ship for a game, possibly. I don't know. But I think it's a big deal. Like, I know a lot of people aren't necessarily happy with Garza's performance at the moment. I think you and I included in that camp, but losing your defensive coordinator for the first game of the playoffs for a suspension is not ever a good thing.
So what are your realistic expectations for Bobby in the defense?
I think it'll be roughly the same. It's got to be better than it was against Weaver last time. I know that much. But, I think that they'll perform roughly about the level I would have expected with Garza. Maybe I'm being foolish on that, but I think it'll be roughly the same.
You don't think they would probably have new looks this week?
No.
They're probably not going to install anything new. The only thing I was thinking about, there could be a different energy to them. I'm not sure about that. Do you think this is a chance for Bobby Daly to make a statement, like kind of like a quote unquote interview?
No.
Audition? No, this is just like a 1-game fill-in type of thing, you think?
No, unless it was like you've had 2 weeks where Bobby Daly's been like implementing his own game plan and stuff. But from everything I've read, Garza's been at practice, so I think he's probably heavily involved in all the planning and the preparation all week long. And Daly's just going to call the shots on Saturday that Garza would have otherwise, but it's still going to be the same game plan. So I don't think it's enough to have any sort of. You can't read too much into it one way or the other how it goes.
People are being, I think, kind of hyperbolic on Bobcat Nation, just being like, oh my gosh, we're going to kick ass now because Bobby Daly is our defensive coordinator. And they're throwing Willie Mack underneath the bus. And I'm like, pump the brakes a little bit, guys. Like, this guy is still a human. He made a mistake, but we don't know what that mistake is. And just, pump the brakes a little bit. So, I wish Bobby Daly the best. I hope we come out firing. I think Montana State has played their best defense as of late, especially in the starters. Like, you look back into the Cat Grizz game, and Coach Vegan echoed that sentiments in his presser today as well. Can Bobby Daly bring the juice? It's not going to be about Bobby Daly. It's always about the players. Will Bobby Daly dial up the pressure at the right time? That's one thing I want to know.
Yep. Those minuscule details, those important little details, when to bring pressure, those are where it's going to be interesting to see what Daly does. So here's hoping Bobby having a great game and calling a great game and defense shutting down the Weaver State attack.
All righty. Okay. Well, that was the press conference. Do you want to get into around the FCS playoffs? Is that something you want to go into, or do you just want to go into Weaver?
Let's quickly hit through some stuff. We don't need to talk anything about it. I think it'd be kind of fun to talk a little bit about it, at least set up the bracket. So let's start up on South Dakota State's side. Delaware crushes St. Francis 56-17. Delaware's one of those teams that was on the bubble coming in. They were like 7-4, I believe. They made a statement win on I guess that would be at home. So they get a trip to Brookings. The 8th seed on our side of the bracket, that's the other side of the bracket. Now I'm confused. This bracket's confusing. Whatever. Holy Cross played the winner of New Hampshire and Fordham, a game I watched a fair amount of. New Hampshire 52, Fordham 42 in a game that was just a track meet. Not much defense played in that game. The Panthers, what is New Hampshire? The Wildcats, right? New Hampshire Wildcats going to Holy Cross, the 8th seed. So we'll see. That should be an entertaining game to keep an eye on if you're going to be watching other football. And that kicks off at 9 o'clock Pacific Coast time. So you catch that one before the Bobcat game starts.
Wow. All right. See, Delaware took it to St. Francis, 56-17.
I just did
We
that
all
one, man.
expected Delaware. Did you? Well, sorry, a Cheez-It ad was playing in my ear from ESPN as I was clicking through the ESPN. I was like, how do I make this Cheez-It ad stop? Or you're just blobbing, you're doing your thing.
Well,
whatever.
I do like Cheez-Its.
I think Delaware could take it to South Dakota State.
Yeah, they're like the number 2 or number 3 defenses versus the number 3 or 4 or something like that. They're both top 4 defenses, so it could be a slobber knocker, like 11 to.
How does
8.
South Dakota State come off of 3 weeks of not playing? That's one thing I want to know too.
A bye week, good. 3 bye weeks or whatever, or 2 bye weeks in a row, not so good. I wouldn't want to be in that position. That's too long playing football without playing football.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go down to the bottom. Yeah, this bracket is crazy big. It's really weird how they set this up. I watched a little bit of that Gardner-Webb Eastern Kentucky game. That was attracting me. Did you talk about that one too?
No.
Sweet. So Gardner-Webb took it to Eastern Kentucky 52-41. I watched the first 10 minutes of that game. I was outside. I was in my garage waxing skis. Believe it or not, I took my computer out there and I set it up. And all I heard was the announcers just like, doing their touchdown calls. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on in this game? And they would just kick it off. There was no defense being played in that game. 52-41. Gardner-Webb takes it to Eastern Kentucky. And now they play William and Mary, which is a William Mary Gardner-Webb. The winner of that game, if we beat Weber, we will meet in the quarterfinals. And so that is something to be, kind of watch out for. It starts at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time this Saturday.
All right. On the other side of the bracket, Sac State side, Richmond crushes Davidson, the team who had allegedly the best rushing attack in the FCS, 41-0. 41-0. So Richmond just pummels them and heads over to Sacramento State for a date in Sacramento. Let's see if the Hornets can actually win a playoff game. That's Troy Taylor's. The only thing he hasn't accomplished yet. Hasn't won a playoff game.
That's a sneaky good game.
I mean, any team
Richmond
playing Sac State right now is sneaky good because, like, Sac State's got to prove it, like I said. And Richmond, I don't know much about Richmond, but they pummeled Davidson. But who cares? Like, Davidson is I think it's the same conference as like San Diego. Like,
Pioneer League, man.
The Pioneer League with the no scholarships, auto bid, whatever. So that could be a good game.
All right. Furman beat Elon. I watched this one because we watched Matt McKay. Elon. It was Matt McKay, if you don't know, was the quarterback for Elon. 31-6. So Furman moves on and plays an Incarnate Word, and so the winner of that will play Sac in versus Richmond. So I was expecting to see Elon take it a little bit more competitive, but Furman just kind of sees momentum in that game. Elon continued to just kind of stumble on themselves. So I watched that game.
Yeah, Furman's kind of tough. They have pretty tough defense.
Yeah,
they did not make it easy on Matt McKay. They were stuffing the run game and smothering his receivers. All right.
Let's talk about the 2 games that happened at the nighttime.
Still got 3 games left here. So I'm not sure which ones you're talking about. I don't know which 2 games were night games.
The Idaho, Southeastern and Louisiana, and the Grizz and Southeastern Missouri.
Okay.
Those are ones I'm seeing.
Southeastern Louisiana beats Idaho in a pretty crazy, entertaining game, a game of runs. Idaho jumped out to like a 21-10 lead or something then it was like 31-21, so that Southeastern Louisiana, and back and forth they went. Idaho, you think they're done after they throw a pick 6, but then they drive back down, score a touchdown, then make a stop, get the ball back, drive back down 42 or 45-42. They kick a field goal, but the timeout was called as right before he kicked it. And then on the next attempt, the kicker slips, barely gets his foot on the ball and shanks it, and they lose. What a crappy way to lose. But pretty entertaining game, pretty good game for Jason X. First time in the playoffs. Like winning the playoffs is hard. Like it's a first time in the playoffs. You don't really realize like necessarily what it takes to win in the playoffs. It's hard. It's harder than you think it is. It's not just another game. But good showing for Idaho. But they couldn't get it done down there in Hammond, Louisiana.
Idaho screwed up their bid to get that game.
Yeah, there was some talk about.
I think they would have won
with Apple Cup in Pullman the same day, and that old like the shooting or whatever that was down in Idaho a few weeks ago, that they didn't place much of a bid. They didn't really want a home game. That's what I've kind of heard. Maybe I'm wrong, but
yeah.
Regardless, southeastern Louisiana moves on to play Samford, which I know nothing about. They're the 6th seed. Could be a high-scoring game, I would assume, because all those southern teams seem to score a lot of points.
All right. Game I watched in conjunction with the Apple Cup, because both of our wives are Cougs. We had an Apple Cup party that night. Some Huskies over as well. I watched the Montana-SEMO game. What a weird game. Montana wins, which I expected them to win. I thought, like I texted you earlier that day, I was like, Grizzlies are going to win by 60 or lose by 3, one of the two. And they were down, 17-3 going into the halftime?
Yeah, and then 24-3 pretty soon right out the half.
Yeah. Yep, so 24-3 into the third quarter. There's 8 minutes left. And then Montana proceeds to score 31 unanswered points with 2 kickoff returns. So not kickoff return and a punt return. And they just looked like a different team. Like the momentum, like they do, that's their sauce, right? The momentum caught up with them in the Washington Grizz Stadium. And they won. They came back and won. And so the Grizz go on and they're going to play North Dakota State. Belly of the Beast up in Fargo, North Dakota. But that was a weird game. It was like just a different game to watch. And it was kind of weird. I was like, I knew when they hit that kickoff return, I was like, oh, they're going to come back.
Yep. You've seen it before.
No team plays better with momentum than Montana.
I mean, that's what they do. They get a kickoff, a special team touchdown, a kickstart something, and then that's exactly what happened. They just kept rolling. And SEMO never looked like they were a better team necessarily. They just looked like they were flustering Montana, and the Grizz just couldn't get it going. You just were waiting kind of for the Grizz to get it going. It looked to me like the Bobcats knocked the Grizz down to the mat, and they didn't get off the mat until the third quarter against SEMO. That's kind of what it looked like. Yeah. They were still reeling from the beatdown in Bozeman. Like just still kind of
the boo birds were out.
Yeah, they were boo birds in the first half there, and I was like, I don't know if the Grizz are gonna be able to do this, but then they finally do that the kickoff return and then do their whole momentum thing, which is just crazy. That's just that I just don't think that's gonna work in Fargo, but I've been wrong before, so you never know. You never know. Like they could roll in Fargo and quiet the crowd and get things rolling, but just with the way that the Grizz are struggling to run the ball and to stop the run, that's not good against North Dakota State.
Nope, and I think North Dakota State has a really good pass defense. So I'd be surprised if the Grizzlies got past North Dakota State. I would be absolutely a little bit scared if they did, because I don't want to see the Grizzlies continue to win in this conference.
You don't want a Frisco
That's not something
date in Frisco with the Grizz? Montana would explode. Frisco would explode.
Yeah. I think I would explode.
They think that it's been crazy with the North Dakota State going every single year. Try Cat Grizz Part 2 for the national championship at Frisco.
Yeah. No, thanks.
No, thank you. All right, let's move on.
I don't know, some people would love that, man.
Yeah.
They would like that. They'd like to live for that. No, that's not me.
Man,
it's not you and me. I know that.
I hate losing Cat Grizz bragging rights for a year. That's bragging rights for life. Too much at stake in that one.
People would die at that game.
It's possible. Die. It's possible.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
It is.
I don't know how. All right. Let's move on to the final game that we haven't talked about, the Weber State North Dakota game. The winner
that one.
The winner of which gets a date in Bozeman, got a date in Bozeman, as Weber State won, as everyone knows by now. We already mentioned it. Everyone watched the game. By the time you're hearing this, it's like Wednesday. You will definitely have known this by the time this podcast is released. First of all, I want to talk. Interesting news came out today that North Dakota's bid was $85,000 higher than Weber State's. And Weber State gets a home game. I don't know if we need to talk about that. I don't even know what I think about that, but pretty interesting that the committee very much put the financial aspect of it completely to the wayside. Something that we've understood as FCS fans for a long time to be true is that the highest bid, you get the home game, and that's just kind of it, period. But they put that at a very low priority in this one, and I personally think it was a way of saying we should have seeded Weber State. You're 8A. You're seed number 9. You're getting a home game, no matter what.
Yeah, let's see. So Weber State going into that one was 10-2.
No, they were 9.
And North Dakota 9-2. So this is reflecting their win on. Okay, so 9-2, and then North Dakota would have been 7-4. Yeah, that's it's weird because a lot of things came out this year about like how the process is going on. I think there was an interview with, I don't know, maybe some Missoulian guy, or maybe it was Sam Herder. I'm not sure, with this guy.
I think Lucas Sim at the Missoulian did a lot of the prodding here.
Yeah, they talked about like how they award, like they think about player experience. So like Montana State, do you think of teams like who have good facilities and good fan bases? They're going to get the benefit of the doubt on some of this stuff. And so maybe they thought Weber State was not only deserved because of their record, but maybe they thought that Ogden provided a better experience for the players.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that, but whatever. However it worked out, Weber State got the home game, and for a while it looked like they were pissed off that they didn't get a seed. They're playing very well. They're playing with their hair on fire. They looked good offensively. They were shutting down North Dakota. North Dakota only scored on like the craziest, flukiest, garbage call. I'm sorry, that was a terrible, terrible call, and they reviewed it and upheld it. I don't understand. But somehow fumbled the ball forward with the throwing motion, and everyone stopped except for one North Dakota player who picked it up and ran it for a touchdown, which, if you're going to read into the rushing stats in this game, you saw like North Dakota had this many rushing yards. Keep in mind that counted as a rush. So when nobody was paying attention, and they reviewed it, and they confirmed that it was indeed a fumble. I don't know how you fumble the ball forward 10 yards without a throwing motion. But anyway, Weber State still was clamping down, but North Dakota kind of came back there in the second half beyond the little fluky thing and kind of made a game out of it. And I don't remember how it ended exactly, but did they have an onside kick opportunity? I don't know what exactly happened, but they made it close.
They did make it close. In fact, I just kept thinking Weber State's just going to put them away. Weber State scored 24
college sports
in the second quarter. And then, like you said, like North Dakota had that fluky, wasn't even fault. It was the weirdest touchdown, whatever. So, but Weber State was still holding court. They had into the third quarter, and then North Dakota just would not go away. And to me, North Dakota looked completely overmatched. Weber State just had them in spades and about everything, but it was weird weather. Wet weather, heavy, wet snow, that kind of neutralizes some of the aspects. But Weber State moves on. Coming to Bozeman. Round 2.
Weber State, 5 completions on 11 attempts. They rushed the ball 59 times in this game for 330 yards against North Dakota.
Yeah. No.
I don't think
Josh Davis was back. He's
yeah.
He looked good too.
Yep, he looked like the All-American.
He looked good, then he hobbles off, right?
Yeah, he hobbles off like, he's hurt again, and then he comes back in and rushes the ball for another 30-yard gain, and then he just limps off the field. Like that poor guy, man. I don't know how healthy he is coming in to Bozeman. He was definitely hurt, but we did not see him in Bozeman last time, so that's going to be quite a difference if he's able to compete at the level that he's able to. That adds a whole different element to Weber State's offense that the Cats didn't have to prepare for last time.
Well, no doubt. It's actually one of my keys to the game is being able to stop the run, stop the three-headed monster that is Mr. Davis, Dante McMillan, and Bingston. they have 3 running backs that are just dudes that provide a little bit different, like kind of like us, right? We have a multitude of running backs that provide a little bit different skill set. They're much like us, and they have probably one of the best offensive lines in the FCS.
No, they do. They absolutely do. And we had trouble getting to Davis last time, or Bronson Barron, excuse me. We did get to him a couple times, but their offensive line did a pretty good job protecting him and opening up some holes for them last time. So, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a huge challenge for the Cats, I think. Let's see. I was looking at this. So we're currently third in the Big Sky in rushing defense at 128.7 yards per game, 4.0 yards per carry. So that's probably the best part of our defense, but teams pass on us instead of running on it. So maybe the stats are skewed a little bit because they know they can pass on it. But yeah, they're going to throw the ball more than 11 times in Bozeman. I can almost guarantee that.
It's going to be cold again, and that's one thing we got going for us. Another key to the game is, pressure Barron. We got to get to him. I think we can get to him and, make him uncomfortable. I mean, that's been a key all year long. That's not just this game, but all year. I think we get 2 sacks on him. We need to play some better pass defense on the back end. Coach Vegan was talking about that today. He's like, we gotta have to shore up how we allowed them to move the ball late in the fourth quarter, which was seemingly at will when they played us. So that's going to be a big emphasis going into this game.
Absolutely. How much can you read into the first matchup?
I think a lot.
You think a lot?
I think you can pick up on tendencies. As a fan, I think about Bronson Barron being able to pass the ball. I think we know what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to establish the run. But if they can't, they're going to try to go to Ty McPherson, play the pass game. They had success against us on that.
No, I think they'll try and establish the rushing game and then take a few deep shots. That's what they did against North Dakota. They hit a big one to Ty McPherson. And that's kind of what the Vegan MO was right before this. Like, you run the ball and then take a couple shots. That was kind of his Wyoming offense. So I think that's kind of what we're going to see. Josh Davis worries me about edge containment more than any of their other running backs because he's got way more speed than any of their other running backs. Not that their other guys aren't capable, but Josh Davis is just at a different level. So I expect kind of a more balanced attack against the Cats, but plenty of running with some deep shots for sure. I want to talk a little bit about, let's see. Last game was so crazy, man. We can do the recap of a little craziness here. 4 safeties by Weber State, 4 punts snapped over, or 4 punt attempts snapped over the punter's head into the end zone, which Grizz kicker did not watch that game film because the Grizz kicker didn't kick it out of bounds like he should have. Like the Weber State kicker was at least smart enough to kick the couple that he had near him out of bounds. Weber State dropped several passes in that game. Weber State had 2 touchdowns from kick returns in that game, a punt return and a kickoff return. And Montana State had 7 false starts. It was a weird game. I don't think any of that's going to happen again. Not a single thing I said is going to happen again.
Yeah, I don't think you can look at that and ask for replication, although kind of hope that they snap some over their heads. Sands has been, you watch him do some long snaps in a couple of the games. He's still kind of shaky. I hope he has a little bit of nerves coming into Montana State again.
Yeah.
I
feel bad, man.
We can't we feel bad for the kid. We don't want that to necessarily happen to him, but if it helps the Bobcats win,
if it happens, it happens.
We can. It happens. One thing I was thinking about is we got to avoid the big blunders in the special teams. We can't let Abraham Williams run it back on us on another 100-yard kickoff return or their punt returner shank. He can't get free. And there was a big emphasis for Montana State coming out of that game, during that game, on special teams. We played a lot better in special teams after that game. Yeah, I feel a little bit better about that.
That was the one where the Vegans we need to have guys on special teams who want to be on special teams, right? Is that basically what he said?
Correct.
They found some guys who were more willing to get out there and get after it, and we've been a lot better. We kicked it to Flowers couple times in Cat Grizz, and he didn't get too far. So we've gotten a lot better in that department. So I'm feeling a lot better about that. If they score a touchdown, it sucks, but not the end of the world. But 2 touchdowns, you can't let that happen.
No. And those came in that game like it's such a momentum swing because they were back-to-back plays.
It was, right? It was crazy. And
it was weird.
And I still remember their punt return for a touchdown happened because we were going to go for it on 4th and 1, and we got a false start and backed us up, and we switched out and punted, and that's when they housed it. That's the little things that can happen in football, man. The things that can cascade. Like, you don't get that false start, you go for it on 4th down. Even if you get stuffed, it's not a punt return for a touchdown. It's still better than that. So that's just kind of how football goes sometimes. Another interesting
We had 11.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say we had 11 penalties. That was not something we're going to see again, probably.
No, they were all like procedural, like 7 false starts and then an offsides on a kickoff. Blech. So there's going to be some big differences in personnel. We talked about Josh Davis, but on the Montana State side, Sean Chambers didn't play last time. Rylan Ort didn't play last time. Cole Sane was fresh off his injury from Northern Colorado, so he did not play. And obviously the big one is Isaiah Afonso. He hasn't played against anybody, so we'll see how that goes. But I think the personnel advantage is definitely on the Cats' favor because we did that last time. Basically, Tommy Mellott running the show. Like, what, he had 27 carries for like 270 yards or something stupid last time.
Yeah.
So I don't want
game over.
I don't want to have Tommy Mellott have 20 plus carries in this game. If we have to, we have to, and that's the horse you can ride sometimes. But it'd be nice to be able to come into this kind of game and have that success running the ball and spread it out and have other guys have that success. I think Sean Chambers is going to be hugely important in this to take that load off of Tommy and have success running the ball. He's not going to get a ton of carries, but just having him in there. I just love what we did in Cat Grizz too when we had Tommy Mellott out in like the flat with Chambers taking the snap and like I love that kind of creativity.
We need to sustain those long grinding drives. I think that's a key for us this game. Tony, I wanted to ask you a little bit about Afonso. Do you have any concerns about him coming back in a weird way? I was just kind of thinking about how he meshes with our already elite running game. Any thoughts on that?
I just don't. I think, number one, he's probably more capable of doing the stuff than you think he is. We picture him as just a guy who goes just straight up the gut, but I think he is capable of counters and cutbacks more than you probably think he is. And with their blocking, man, anybody can do it, right? Like, I'm not
suit me up, coach.
Yeah, I could gain 2 yards in that offense. All right, 2 yards to carry. But I don't think it's going to be a bad mesh. If they ride him too much, I don't think they will either because they're going to ease him back from the injury. I don't see it really being a problem. I can only see it being a benefit.
All right.
You disagree? You got a different take?
No, I mean, it's I want to see it because the tail last year was ride Afonso, pass to McCutcheon, go to Afonso, pass to McCutcheon. And so we were just riding him so much. Like Fegan said today, we are in a different spot. So I just want to see it.
Yep. For sure. I'm excited to see him run, man. Like, they've been talking about how he could be more healthy than he has been in like years or whatever. Like the healthiest version of Afonso you've seen in a long time. And that gets me excited, man.
Yeah. 3rd and 3, giving it to Afonso. Okay. I like that, right? But I also like giving it to Marquis Johnson and watching him, the speed he has. I love watching Elliott just bust through tackles and then I love all of our running backs, man. That's what I'm saying, man. It's like these long drives where if we get 400 yards of rushing, we're going to beat the crap out of these guys.
Oh, beat the crap out of anybody rushing for 400 yards.
I think we can, man. I put that in my notes. I'm looking at it right here. Run for 400 yards.
Yeah, last time was what?
We did 357 or something like that?
Yeah, 350 something or other. So, yeah. So you're thinking we could outperform our last time?
I don't think this game can be close. I don't think it has to be close.
It doesn't
unless
have.
we start shooting ourselves in the foot. Now I'm like tiptoeing into a land that I don't like to talk about because you know me, I get a little bit weird when it comes to stuff like
Confidence.
this. But yeah, well, I'm liking what Montana State does on offense right now. They control the clock, and when we control the clock, the time of possession, and we control how we march down the field, Bronson Barron ain't going to do anything. He's going to sit on that sideline and get cold, is what he's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at. This is a good time to talk a little bit about Weber State's defense since they've played us. Before they played us, they played what? I don't remember how many games it was. I wish I knew. I think it was 6 games. They were giving up 11 points per game. Since they played us, and including us, they're giving up almost 28 points a game. I mean, after us, they let Chris Brown's Grizz score on them 21 points. They gave up 33 points to Sac State. Then they only let 7 against Idaho State, but whatever. But then NAU put up 31 at them in Flagstaff, and North Dakota just put up 31 on them. So, like, 3 of their last 4 opponents have scored 30-plus points on them. So this infallible. Did I just combine infallible and unflappable together? Oh, man. Podcasting is harder than you think it is, people. At least for me. My brain doesn't work so good sometimes. But anyway, their defense is showing plenty of cracks, and Montana State's offense has only gotten better. And we're going to have more weapons than we had last time. We're going to have a healthier offensive line. We're going to have Sean Chambers, Isaiah Fonze, and I don't see how they're going to stop the running game. I know it's Jay Hill, and this is an interesting stat that a Weber State fan brought up. Jay Hill is 2-0 in playoff rematches, which would be the Grizz a couple years ago in 2019, because the Grizz smoked Weber State before they played us. We smoked the Grizz, and then the Weber State beat the Grizz in the playoffs after like Dalton Sneed threw like 5 interceptions. That was that ugly game. And I don't know what the other one is, but I'll trust the Weber State fan for saying that. But Jay Hill, he's a good coach. He knows what happened last time in Bozeman. He's going to come up with a game plan to make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm just not sure it matters, much like it didn't matter in Missoula. Like Bobby Howe said as much. It's like we knew what they were going to do. We knew they were going to run the ball. It didn't matter one lick.
I think Weber's going to try to take deep shots on us. That's what I saw when they were playing North Dakota. When they were passing the ball, they were like trying to go over to the top. They're going to try to expose our too high shell.
Yeah, they're going to try and catch us creeping and trying to stack the box to slow the running game down. If we can slow the running game down without having to bring extra help, that's where it's going to be real beneficial for the Bobcats. If we have to bring extra help, we're going to take some shots, find those matchups. And we haven't been real good in man coverage this year.
No, that's not been our forte. All right, Thorny.
What do you think about switching up to like some sort of a zone? A bit of zone play here.
I don't know. That's kind of wonder how Bobby Daly's going to call this game. Because he's going to have the reins, right? Dial up some pressure.
He'll have some reins.
Well, yeah, exactly. He'll have some reins. You're probably spot on that.
I don't know. Maybe he'll have some extra input and call some plays that Garza wouldn't. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see.
Do you think our defense has evolved over the season?
Yes, I do. I think Riley Nork coming back into form, and he's played a lot better, has helped. But, we're still not a top 30 defense. But we have gotten better, I think.
Top 30 defense? You don't think we're a top 30 defense in the FCS?
Maybe. We're definitely not top 20.
Okay, so maybe not a top 30 passing defense, but overall, for sure, we're a top 30 defense.
I don't know. We're like 6th in the Big Sky, which is probably good for like 15th in the country. You're right. Yeah. I don't know what the national stats are, though. It'd be interesting to actually go look at the stats, but stats don't tell you everything. But we have gotten better, to your point. That's just an easy way to sum it up. We have evolved a little bit. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I wrote that down on paper. I wanted your thoughts. I think, to be told, Montana State had some crazy run in the playoffs. And I think a lot of us Bobcat fans, to be honest, want to think this is going to happen again. We want to believe that Montana State got into the playoffs last year and it's just going to be the same as it's going into this year. This is a huge game. This Weber game is a huge game. I have a lot of confidence going into this game. One, I think the intangibles fit the narrative we want. We're at home. It's going to be cold. There you go. Montana State doesn't lose at home. I think, the thought on Weber doing this revenge game, they probably think that they deserve to win last game. Montana State, I don't think they play like that, man. I think the way Coach Vegan prepares them, they're not susceptible to that kind of narrative. I think that's a fan narrative right there.
I mean, if any type of like pressure or anything would have gotten to the Bobcats, it would have been Cat Chris. With game day in town, they could have easily laid an egg in that game, but they rose to the occasion, and that's what Brent Vegan does so well. I think that perhaps Jeff Choate or Rob Ash or any coach that we've had in a while has been unable to do is just embrace that. I'm not thinking of the word correctly, but you're the favorite now. You're the target. Everyone's gunning for you. Jeff Choate had to be an underdog, and he always painted his team as the underdog. He did it in his press conferences. This team coming into Bozeman, we're gonna get our butts kicked. He always did that, right?
Yeah.
Vegan doesn't do that. His team doesn't believe that. They believe that they're gonna win this game. That Weber State's gonna come in here and they have to beat us, and that's a whole different mentality shift. And I think that's such a big benefit for the Bobcats because I think Weber State has plenty of motivation in this game too. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. I know that the extra motivation the outside noise isn't going to affect the Cats. They're going to hunker down and play their brand of football in the best way they can, period.
It's a mantra like they have to play us.
Exactly. That's right. They have to beat us, not the other way around. It does suck. Like Weber State's probably the worst first round draw you could possibly get, at least the second round draw, that you could get. But, and no one likes to play a team twice in one season, but if anybody's capable of just making this game what we want it to be, I think it's Brent Vegan and this current iteration of the Bobcats.
Not going to argue that statement. Vegan's just got these guys dialed in, dude.
I'm getting all excited over here. Playoff football, man.
Got the Vim going.
I do.
All right.
I vimmed myself up. All right. Anything else you want to say at Weber State? I know we have some Golden Coolie questions. Anything else you want to?
No, I think I went through all my notes on keys to win this game. I think we can get 400 yards of rushing on these guys. I'm not gonna lie, dude. And also another thing I would like kind of wrap this up is like, I think Weber's a little bit prone to have some lulls. We got to capitalize on those lulls.
And we did last time.
Yep.
They're what, 24-7 in Bozeman? Something like that?
Man, it's going to be crazy to see number 22 out there running the ball again.
It's going to be weird.
That's something I haven't wrapped my head around. I can't picture that.
I mean, he's probably the best running back to ever play at Montana State, at least in the modern era of football. And we haven't seen him all year. We're having this crazy year, top 4 seed, undefeated in the FCS play. And he hasn't played, and he's still on the team. It's not like he graduated. It's just a weird dynamic, and it's gonna be weird seeing him. And it's gonna be exciting as hell. I'm excited to see him out there, and I'm happy for him to get back on the field because I'm sure he's just been killing them all year.
All right, let's go into some Golden Coolie questions.
I have one last question for you before we move on.
All right,
because I thought it's kind of an interesting question. Last time it was pretty big offensive battle. Just real quick, what defense do you think is more likely to play a better game than last time? Montana State's defense or Weber State's defense?
Oh, that's easy. Montana State.
That's exactly my answer, and that's why I think the Cats have a good chance of winning.
Boom. You heard it first.
Nope. I said we have a good chance of winning. That's all you heard. We don't do predictions. You heard me say
so it's weird when I was listening. When I was listening to Coach Vegan talk about this today in his presser, he wasn't talking about just a game. He was talking about games. That was something that I was listening to, games in plural. He's expecting to get past this. Like they're looking at playoff as not just a playoff, but playoffs. I know it's one and done. I mean, everybody knows that. There's a certain level of confidence in. I think Montana State's got it's in a good place right now.
Co-coach of the year, man. Like we said on the last
Let's
podcast, if you're not on the vegan train now, sorry, you're never going to be on the vegan
I want
train.
to see Montana State Sac State national championship.
That would be a pretty interesting matchup. Two similar teams, like schematically, stylistically, and like two amazing coaches. That'd be a chess match. That would be an entertaining game, I think.
Yeah, that would be a super fun matchup. I would love to see that.
Plus, that would probably mean that Sac State would beat the Bison. So, also a fan of that. Somebody please beat them.
Yes, please.
Except for the
Just not the Grizzlies.
We'll never hear the end of that.
Oh, gosh. I just wish we had a world without the Grizzlies. I really do.
It's tough having a rival who's also good. That's just what it's going to be for the Cats, and you just got to accept it and dominate it. And that's what we've been doing, baby.
Let's go into some golden coolie questions. Some of these are older.
We didn't answer any questions last time. I apologize if you sent us questions. We got them and we intended to do them, and we just started talking about the Grizzly Cap, and we just kind of finished the episode up. Sometimes it happens. We apologize. We didn't mean to ignore anybody, but let's try and answer some questions this time, even if they're a little bit older, as long as they're still kind of pertinent a little bit. Not like, what do you think how many yards do you think we're going to run against the Grizz? Well, that one's kind of a pointless question, but.
Crap ton. All right. Let's see. Teton Cat, who's online right now on Bobcat Nation. What's up, Teton? Is our consistent run game due to a better overall O-line this year, or to a change to the more outside zone run scheme? Can we complete quick passes to the tight end to offset the heavy blitz screen? Blitz scheme. That was a Grizzly question right there. I think we don't have, like, overall, if you just compared the dudes on our offensive line, my take is this offensive line probably doesn't have the star power, but as an overall unit, I think this offensive line works better together. And I think the outside zone run scheme fits this offensive line to a T. And I think that has been the best call all season, any coaching decision we've made that has allowed us to have success.
Do you think Lewis Kidd would thrive in this system or not?
I don't.
I don't think he would.
Because Lewis Kidd is an animal of a man, but he was not fleet of foot.
No, he's an NFL offensive lineman. And that's why he's the NFL. He's a prototypical left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And
he does good in the inside zone blocking schemes.
Last year's offensive line maybe had more individual talent, but it was kind of a hodgepodge of different strengths. This year's version, I think, is just a better offensive line. I remember last year being critical of the offensive line at times. Like, I feel like we should be better than we are. We were critical early on in the year. I remember we had a hard time like moving the ball against like Drake or whoever we played like last year. Remember that? One of those Pioneer League teams. We had a hard time moving the ball. And I was like, the offensive line's just not playing that well right now. And I've never felt that once this year. They've played better than I ever could have hoped. So I think a lot of it is just getting a good unit that plays together and all has similar strengths, and then playing to those strengths. It's paying huge dividends.
When we moved from a power running game and an inside zone running game to this outside zone running game, it made the world of difference. It suits our backs better, and it suited our smaller line better.
It's so fun to watch.
It is, man. It's beautiful. It's just like almost like a ballet when you watch it. I mean, I took that straight from Coulter Nuanis, but he's right, dude. When you watch it, when you watch the offensive line get out in space and just dominate, get a hat on a hat, there's a Rob Ash turn for you. It's beautiful. It's just like this what is it? I can't say that word.
Choreographed?
Choreographed. Yeah, choreographed brutality.
Choreographed brutality. Man, now that's a phrase.
There it is. Print the shirts.
Choreographed brutality. I love it. Roger Fisher on Twitter asks us, and we talked about this a little bit, but let's go ahead and answer the question. Buy or sell, Coach Daly knows how to fix the chronic problems with the secondary, and we'll see a big improvement in Saturday. Buy or sell?
Nah, I'm going to sell. Sell. Coach Daly's just in there as a figurehead right now. I would be surprised in a week, unless, Roger, this was known 2 weeks ago and they were installing schemes and new looks back during the bye week. I don't think that was happening. From what I've heard today, this is a new development. Well, it's a new development to me, but yeah, no. I think we're going to see much the same from our defense. A lot of the same calls. I don't think they're going to institute anything new. The only thing I think that might be different, like I said, might be the energy.
Even if he had a bigger footprint on it, I don't know if Bobby Daly specifically knows how to fix a secondary. Whoa. I mean, he's a linebacker. He's only coached linebackers. I don't think he's ever coached secondary anyway. It seems to be the secondary issues are more communication based, so maybe he could help out in some sort of in that department. I don't know, but I don't think he's going to fix anything here in like a week or two.
Sorry, Roger.
Unless he tells the cornerbacks to like stop playing 10 yards off the ball on like 3rd and 3s. That would fix some stuff.
You don't even know that, man. Like we don't even know.
I don't know anything about football.
Exactly.
I'm just saying he could have him in a different spot before the snap. Maybe that would help. Maybe it'd make things worse. I don't know.
I think people are putting too much stock in Bobby Daly being our defensive coordinator.
For sure. Yeah. We talked about that already. But good question, Roger. Appreciate the question, as always. Thank you, sir. What else you got there?
All right. Let's see what we got. You want to answer a question on game day?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So
I was there, man.
Says, what was the proverbial straw that broke ESPN's back to opt for game day in Bozeman? This effort's been going on across the Big Sky for a couple of years. What ultimately do you think tipped the scales?
I don't know.
You answer that since you were there.
Was it like UCLA losing?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Like much, I know that, and they admitted as much. ESPN Game Day admitted that we got their attention last year. The Big Sky Conference, Missoula, push they did last year, got little whispers in their ears, but it still wouldn't have happened, I don't think, if there was a bigger showdown for whatever the hell that rivalry is called. I don't even know. The UCLA-USC game, if there would have been a bigger showdown, a top 10 matchup, I think they probably still would have been there. So I think it just comes down to situational. If there's not a huge obvious game to go to, then they can start looking outside a little bit. And that's kind of what happened, I think. I think it worked out. That's it. That's all I think.
I'm not going to respond. I have nothing.
Cheers.
Alrighty. I think that's it from Bobcat Nation, man. Do you got any more?
That's all I have. I checked on email and Twitter. My Twitter's been blowing up, so I don't know. I think I caught everything. But that's all I got. So who do you want to pick as a winner here? I know Roger Fisher just won one.
Oh, you know which one I was thinking of is the run game one. Teton Cat.
Teton Cat. I feel
definitely has one.
Yeah, it's because he just won one too. So, well, let's pick Teton.
T-Dub.
Let's give him a little clappy clap. And
Teton.
And then he can reach out to us, and he can nominate somebody else for one. I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
When do the magnets get there?
Order them today, probably 7 days from here. But okay. Shout out to all the people in the Golden Coolie thread mucking it up with just conversation. Thanks for making my job a lot harder tonight.
They're talking
just like deciphering.
They're talking conversation based on what we talk about on the podcast, man. That's interactions. They're interacting. Enjoy it. Don't get all grumpy old man on it all. Oh, stop talking about non-questions in the gold cooley thread.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my thread. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you for continuing the discussion on the message board. Thank you.
Oh man, can't wait for football, man. I love, hate bye weeks. I'm ready for the game. Let's do it tomorrow.
What do you think about some sort of dang it, Twitter? Never mind. I was hoping for a pregame, like 10-minute, 15-minute pregame show on Twitter Spaces, live show, but Mr. Foley gave up Twitter for Lent. For life,
man. It's been one of the best things I've ever done. Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway.
You know what I'm not doing at night? Scrolling through Twitter.
No.
There you go.
Just Instagram instead.
You're welcome. I know. I should give that up.
Because one's better than the other. All right. Thanks again for all the questions. Man, playoff football. I'm excited for it. We'll be tweeting out on game day. I'm sure Ryan Foley doing his Fly Your Flag campaign on his little corner of social media that he finds acceptable. Look forward to the game. Thanks everyone for listening. As always, you can always find us on Twitter at RRCatcast. You can always find us on Instagram, RRCatcast. You can find us on Facebook, RRCatcast. You can find us on that there internet, www.rrcatcast.com. You can support the show at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/rrcatcast. Thanks again to Manhattan Bank for being our sponsor. And as always, Foley, let's get out of here. Let's go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.